Herb Brooks that said, great moments are born from great opportunity. But when opportunity comes knocking on the door, who will answer? These two teams have a great opportunity. Their passion, desire, and will had led them to this moment. Playoff hockey.
He's going to take himself with a shot off a rocker. Water Street now, and that one goes in!
An opportunity for the Lakers, and it's the first goal for Oswego!
Where only the strong survive, and the weak go home.
Play hero, there's still a chance, backhanded in front, shot taken! And it could have been the potential tying goal!
Plattsburgh Cardinals. And that one's just in front, the backhander, and Titanic scores!
And now back to St. Clair again. St. Clair lets the shot go, that one deflects, she scores!
The regular season is over.
As it's skating around, she can't get a clear shot, it's poked away, another opportunity, and another save by Travato!
No more excuses.
There's only 2 seniors, contrary to 14 last year.
No more mistakes.
And Plattsburgh will be going on another power play.
This is a fight to the finish, a fight to be number one.
A couple of big opportunities there. That's a knuckle puck right in front of the net. Bellman, what a stop there!
Olivia Morrison, captain, she takes it herself and scores!
The gloves are off, and the stakes are high, but there is only one question that still remains. Who will answer?
Welcome inside the Camp Center Ice Arena for tonight's SUNYAC quarterfinal matchup between the Fredonia Blue Devils and the Oswego State Lakers right here on WTOP 10. And for Dan I and Larry Bergen, I am Chris Lewin, and guys, a big SUNYAC matchup here in Oswego tonight.
Couldn't be more ready for this one. Oswego clinching that 3 seed, Fredonia getting the 6. It was a battle all season long. We've seen these teams twice already. Excited for the third go at it.
Two teams with a lot of controversy going into this season, both Oswego and Fredonia. Fredonia not living up to the hype as they haven't been for the past couple years, and Oswego with a very young squad going into the season, still locked up the third place spot in the SUNYAC, and was able to get a home ice advantage in this SUNYAC playoffs, which is always tough.
Yeah, they did secure home ice, but it's been a while since we've seen a quarterfinals matchup that the Lakers have been in, usually the top 2 team getting the bye to Saturday, but they will play tonight here at the Camp Center Ice Arena on this Wednesday night. But let's take a look at the SUNYAC playoff bracket. You see Fredonia versus Oswego here tonight. Also, Brockport, Buffalo State played tomorrow's game. If Oswego wins this contest, they'll go to number 2 Plattsburgh. If Fredonia wins, they'll see number 1 Geneseo this Saturday. And so there's a lot to go around when it comes to the SUNYAC playoffs. A lot of different options that could be played here. And of course, the Lakers had just seen Plattsburgh last weekend, so there's that opportunity too to play them back-to-back Saturdays.
In the course of 8 days, to play the same team twice and win on their ice twice, that's difficult. But you know what? You got to get through this game first, and I'm almost positive that no one on this Lakers squad is looking past Fredonia. And on the other side, Fredonia, they're not looking past Oswego. This is a game they have to win, and there's a lot on the line for them.
Absolutely. Nobody thought in the beginning, in the home opener, that Fredonia was able to beat Oswego like they did, but they did, and it shocked the whole entire world. That's the last time that Oswego's lost a home opener since the 08-09 season, and a little bit of bad blood going on between Oswego and Fredonia as they went into Fredonia a couple weeks ago and took it on their home ice 5-1. So I'm going to see a little bit of bad blood revenge going on over here on this home ice in the Campus Center Ice Arena.
Now, right now, looking at the brackets, I mean, obviously, this game, the 3 and the 6 for Oswego and Fredonia, and it's a wide match when it comes to rankings-wise. I'm much wider than Buffalo State and Brockport, that 4-5 matchup. But this one is still a toss-up between anybody.
Oh, yeah, and either of these games, as you take a look at the bracket again, Brockport Buff State is also a tricky game. Brockport's been playing very well as of late, came into here and beat Oswego 3-2, so they're by no means out of it. This bracket from 3 to 6 all very strong teams, and anyone can beat someone else on any given night. But we've seen that as well. Oswego beating Plattsburgh, Geneseo beating Plattsburgh in Plattsburgh. Things get tricky when you talk about it. In this conference, it's going to be difficult for any team to win, especially if these 4 teams playing tonight, to win the 3 games to capture the SUNYAC.
Geneseo with the late season win streak of 6 consecutive games to take that #1 spot and dethrone Plattsburgh, which going into the season, Plattsburgh was projected to not only be #1 or win the SUNYAC, but they were one of the favorites to win the NCAA tournament in Division III hockey. But it just goes to show that nothing is guaranteed in the SUNYAC conference. Geneseo just snuck into first place. Rockport was able to win. Buffalo State still lost out, but they still made the playoffs anyway. It's going to be a crazy ride here in the SUNYAC playoffs, and we're starting it off tonight here in Oswego.
Now also remember, Oswego is actually under a winter weather advisory right now. So, of course, the last time we did a hour-long pregame is for the whiteout game. Now we have a whiteout outside of the Camp Center Ice Arena. So you probably won't see the same amount of people in the stands, especially from the town sections for today, as they've been asked to stay off the roads, most people in Oswego. So it's going to be a little different vibe for a playoff game here.
Well, I'll tell you, the students have had all afternoon off, starting from noon. Classes canceled. There is now no excuse for them to not be in attendance tonight. You had 6 hours to get your homework done, all your extra work for tonight. They have no excuse not to be here. But for the town, you're not going to turn these fans away. They're going to come and support their team no matter what. I have a feeling we're going to see a pretty packed house tonight.
I don't know. I still got some homework to do later. I mean, I'm sorry, Mom, if you're watching, but I still got some homework. But regardless, as a former fan and a former athlete, there's nothing that gets my blood flowing more than playoff anything. So there's going to be no excuse. Playoff hockey is playoff hockey, and the fans are dedicated more than ever for this Oswego team this year. They're going to be having their backs, and they're going to root their team on. I don't expect to see any less of fans than a regular season game.
And at the same time, too, it's a very young squad for the Oswego State Lakers. Their first playoff game for this freshman class, and the transfer that we saw this season, too, in Mike Montagna. How do you think that they're going to react when it comes to playing in the playoff atmosphere, and especially coming off such a big game in Plattsburgh last weekend?
Well, when you look at this team, they have been playing extremely well, but at times inconsistently. And coming off of the hype of that win at Plattsburgh, I think puts them in a very good place for today's game. I think you have a lot of young guys. 10 of the 20 men dressed tonight are freshmen. You're talking 14 of the 20 haven't played together. It's going to be fun to see how they react in the playoffs.
Exactly. With the impact that Galati and Montagna and Kenny Neal has had on this team, Montagna being a transfer and 2 freshmen in the leading scorers, it's definitely great to see that they're going to be suiting up in their first playoff game, and Zawoski being in net for the first time. They've been great all season. Let's see how it is going to be for the next 3 years for these players.
Once again, tonight's matchup between Fredonia and Oswego, the third matchup that these two teams have seen each other in. Let's go back now all the way to November 1st here at the Camp Center Ice Arena. That shocking of a game. We're going to start off in the second period at the 4:36 mark. It was actually Oswego State to get on the board first. Sean Holshoff, assisted by David Titanic, put the Lakers up by a score of 1-0 as they got on the board early. That was the first goal the Lakers scored on the season, as this was the home opener for the Oswego State Lakers. But only a few minutes later at 7:15, Mitch Kaufman of the Blue Devils scores the first visiting goal of the season at the Camp Center Ice Arena. That one tied the game at 1 goal apiece for the Lakers and the Blue Devils, but scoring was not done in that second period of play. When at the 19:12 mark, Brandon Adams getting his first collegiate goal, a wraparound goal assisted by Peter Rodriguez, put the Lakers up by a score of 2-1 going into the second intermission. And only going into the third period, as you're going to see right now, though, that Adams goal, that wraparound goal, his first of the season. Then you're going to see in the third period now, it's Chad Bennett of the Blue Devils on the power play for that shot in front of the net, ties the game up at 2 in the third period at the 4:08 mark. Once again, a power play goal for the Fredonia Blue Devils. And that one just right in front, bouncing in front of Justin Gilbert. And it was Bennett scoring the goal to tie this game up at 2 apiece. But then in overtime, at 4:32 mark at overtime, Hunter Long of the Fredonia Blue Devils is able to get this one, as you'll see in a few seconds, right past Justin Gilbert And the Fredonia Blue Devils celebrate on the Camp Center Ice Arena ice as they took the game by a final of 3-2, an overtime victory for the Fredonia Blue Devils. But then again, only last month, on January 24th, the Lakers traveled to Fredonia to once again take on the Blue Devils. So we have the video courtesy of our sister station WNYO. And it was in the first period, the Lakers got on the board first as Denton King, this is courtesy of Fredonia SID, Sports Information Department. You'll see some of the highlights here from the game. Scoring got off at the 6:57 mark of the first period, with Denton King scoring for the Oswego State Lakers. And this one also a very close, or not as close of a matchup as we saw at the Campus Center Ice Arena. The Lakers took this game by a final of 5-1 with a big second period and third period. The Fredonia lone goal was scored by Alex Perkins at the 19:05 mark of the second period, but that rest of the game, all Oswego State. And guys, the Oswego State Lakers, for a team that dropped that game against Fredonia at home on opening night, had a big rebound victory in Fredonia last month.
Yeah, and Chris, looking at that roster of the rosters from that first game, Sean Hulshoff not in the lineup tonight for the Lakers, Chad Bennett not in the lineup for the Blue Devils. So two of the goal scorers from that first meeting not on the ice tonight. Both of them will be scratched. But big names that did score in there, Brandon Adams. He was the hero in Plattsburgh a week ago. Him stepping up tonight, playing on that first line, that's going to be huge for him.
Absolutely, and looking at Fredonia in the home opener this year, it was a bit of a wake-up call for this Oswego State Lakers team, because if there are going to be any mistakes that you're going to take care of in the season, it's got to be the very first week or even in the preseason. You can't afford to make any of these mistakes right now. Like you saw in the intro video, no more mistakes, no more excuses. This is playoff hockey where you leave that all behind.
And I was going to say, for tonight's game, and obviously they want to play more at the road game against Fredonia, but which Laker team do you think we're going to see tonight? The one that we saw opening night or last month in Fredonia?
Well, there's no question that this team has come a long way in terms of working together since that point. Only a month or so to practice leading into that home opener, and you know what? They weren't necessarily ready for it. Weren't ready for the pace with such a young squad. Now they know what they're doing, and you know what? They've taken the number 4 team in the country, Plattsburgh, to overtime and tied them and beat them in regulation on their ice. This is a team with a very high-powered offense as well as a very solid back line if they can hold it together. Both units ranked in the top 15 nationally. I think we're going to see that second squad that was in Fredonia a month ago.
I agree with Dan. They had a lot of time to make their fix their mistakes. They dealt with pressure all year long. They dealt with controversy. They know what the stakes are tonight, even considering how young this team is. They know what they got to do tonight, and that's just win. And looking at the stat sheet, they've been doing that all year long. They looking at the stat sheet on the standings, they were able to compete with everybody in the SUNYAC Conference just as well as the team who won the SUNYAC Conference last year and made it all the way to the NCAA Finals.
And when we saw the brackets for the SUNYAC Conference, you noticed that Geneseo was now number 1, Plattsburgh was number 2. Reason for that? Past Saturday night, the Oswego State Lakers defeated the Plattsburgh State Cardinals up in Plattsburgh. Now we're going to go to our sideline reporter, Jeremy Long, who has more to discuss on that game.
And guys, Oswego has the opportunity to do something that they have not done in 4 years, and that is possibly take points from Plattsburgh during the regular season and the postseason. So essentially not lose to Plattsburgh at all in the entire season. And for a team that's had their ups and downs, a really young squad, Ed Gosick would have to be really proud of his team if they could pull something like that off. But they have to focus on this game first, because in 2010, when they beat Plattsburgh in both of their games, they lost to Fredonia in the SUNYAC semifinal. Should be a really good game, but Ed Gosick won't be having his team looking ahead towards Saturday. Guys?
Can you hear him?
And thanks, Jeremy, for that report right now. And as Jeremy was talking about, big matchup in Plattsburgh between the Lakers and the Cardinals. Really reshaped the entire SUNYAC Finals. As you see now, the Oswego game against Plattsburgh, courtesy of WNYO, our sister radio station. As we didn't see the first goal by Michael Reseda at 26 seconds into the second period, you did see Mike Montagna on the power play, tying the game 1-1. Then it's Andrew Barden at 6:23, another power play goal for the Lakers, puts the score at 2-1 in favor of Oswego State. That one, once again, at 6:23 on the power play in favor of the Lakers. But then at the 8:27 mark, Michael Radisa, his second goal of the period, ties the game up at 2 goals apiece. And here the Plattsburgh State crowd went absolutely nuts at that point. It was a nice move on Justin Gilbert by Radisa, tied the game up at 2. And then Plattsburgh strikes again at the 9:20 mark, gets past Justin Gilbert. That's Alex Breton getting the goal, putting the Plattsburgh State Cardinals in a pivotal game, up by a score of 3-2 at the 9:20 mark of the second period of play. As you see, that nice shot by Brennan just beating over glove side Justin Gilbert. But then at 12:57, Alex Botten, still in the second period, scores the 6th goal of the period, ties the game up at 3-3. Alex Botten, assisted by Chris Carr, tied the game going into the second intermission, and it would stay 3-3 for a long time, up until 17:28. Brandon Adams, as Dan said before, the hero of the game, scoring the go-ahead and eventual game-winning goal with under 3 minutes to go in the game, put the Lakers up by a score of 4-3, which was the final score of that game. And Dan, I know you were up in Plattsburgh along with Matt Jackson, who we'll be talking to later on, but that the Brandon Adams goal, I should say, and that one, you could see the crowd in Plattsburgh looked very deflated, but I know you probably were excited.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, before the game, I actually had a chance to talk to a couple of players, including Alex Brenton on Plattsburgh, and they were very calm going into this game, and it was tough to tell if they were not counting Oswego into the game or if they knew that they needed a little bit of help to capture the SUNYAC. But you know what? Oswego came ready to play and answered a lot of adversarial, like, real tough moments. Alex Botten went down hard on the call. He got hit in center ice. That drew a 5-minute major and a game misconduct, and that gave Oswego their first 2 goals, and then Botten comes back and ties it with an absolutely wicked wrist shot. And you know what? That team fought all night long, and they really overcame a lot of odds to get that 4-3 win, guys.
Last year, Plattsburgh had Oswego's number in the regular season. They both here in the Campus Center Ice Arena and back in Plattsburgh, they defeated them. But Oswego came in and defeated them when it really mattered in the SUNYAC Championship last year. Now coming back into the whiteout weekend, they tied 3-3. Plattsburgh, I think, still kind of thought to themselves that, hey, Oswego's coming in, we still got them on our own home ice. That wasn't the case. Oswego knew what they had to do. They know they had to win out for the rest of the year to be considered a threat, and that's exactly what they did.
We're going to take a break right now, our first break on the Mark's Pizzeria pregame show. Remember, Hockey Night Oswego is brought to you by Hawks Oswego Inc. at 58 West Bridge Street. You can call them at 315-343-8282. When we come back, we'll be discussing the history of Oswego and Fredonia, as well as the coaching matchup. You're watching Hockey Night Oswego right here on WTOP 10. Rudy, can you stand there and then when wrap it up? Because I already know that they're wrapping me up, but they don't.
Yeah,
Can you signal to him, and then he'll signal to them?
Yeah. When it is 6:28, we have to go to break. So like at 6:27, start play.
I didn't know that I was supposed to talk for like 2 minutes. Nobody.
That's fine.
So,
Well, they,
I mean, we still went for 20.
yeah. So, what do you think?
50 seconds.
What are we starting with? History of Osvernonia. I hope you got stuff about that.
I can hear you.
Chris, turn it up.
I can hear him.
Oh, okay.
Word. 10. Everything that makes me wanna fly.
6. Welcome back inside the Camp Center Ice Arena on the Mark's Pizzeria pregame show here on Hockey Night in Oswego as we get you ready for the top of the hour. Will be the Fredonia Blue Devils against the Oswego State Lakers in the SUNYAC quarterfinals matchup. But for Dan Nye and Larry Bergen, I am Chris Lewin. And once again, Fredonia and Oswego, teams that occasionally will see each other in the SUNYAC playoffs, see each other twice every season, and you'll see in just a few seconds. Some of their matchups, it's usually Oswego walking away with the victory, but as we saw, opening night this year, a 3-2 victory in favor of the Fredonia Blue Devils. So this is not a team that Oswego can ignore.
No, and this is a team that has really been problematic in the playoffs. Fredonia 2 years ago came in and beat this team in the semifinals. Oswego able to get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament that year, but this is a team that has caused problems in this building, and you see the only home game that they've won in that stretch. I mean, the only home game they won in that stretch was back in 2012, 2013. They've been struggling at home against this team. It's a team that likes to play spoiler.
Looking at the playoff matchup, going back in the 2011 game where they won 8-3 Oswego, they just completely destroyed Fredonia. So it looks like when it comes to playoff time, one team can outpower another one. But that's not really been the case this year. Going into the home opener this year, they've only lost in overtime thanks to a Hunter Long goal, and then revenge was made from Oswego when Nick Rivet led the team with 3 points. Then that's when a little bit of the Oswego-Fredonia title to take came back to play.
Remember, 3 years to go to date is when the Fredonia Blue Devils defeated the Oswego State Lakers in that semifinals matchup. And right now we're going to take a look at the seeds for the NCAA tournament, because it's still anybody's guess of where Oswego can go. And they would need to win the SUNYAC tournament probably to get into the Division III tournament. Brought to you of D3 Hockey, Plattsburgh with the 3, Geneseo with the 5 right now. And the Oswego State Lakers, a team that's usually up there 1 or 2. Right now, not a team there. The pool C is at large would probably go to the Plattsburgh State Cardinals, with Geneseo being the #1 and favorite to win the SUNYAC tournament. So if the Lakers want to move on past SUNYACs, they have to win it all in this tournament.
Yeah, and outside of winning it all, which would get them that automatic bid, the small miracle chance that they would need is to beat Plattsburgh next week, Geneseo to lose to either Brockport or Buff State, and somehow put on a strong enough performance in the SUNYAC championship if they don't win it to go away with the possible chance at that at-large bid. They played well enough, but those 2 losses against Geneseo, including the one here at home, that's going to hurt them. Like you said, Chris, they're going to have to win it all.
If there's anything that they need right now, if anything else, is that home ice advantage. They're looking at that list right now, looking at Plattsburgh, looking at Geneseo, and the one team that they're looking on there more than anybody else is St. Norbert. 2 years ago, St. Norbert defeated Oswego in the NCAA final, and then that was all history there. So they're looking at St. Norbert to either play them or get eliminated quick, so it'd be an easier way to the NCAA